In the heart of the city, where shadows lingered even in the brightest sunlight, there was a small, nondescript cafe known as the Abyss. Frequented by the city's outcasts, it was a place where the goth and emo crowds felt at home. Among them, one figure stood out, Isabella, a strikingly beautiful woman with raven black hair, porcelain skin, and eyes that seemed to pierce through to one's soul. Little did anyone know, Isabella was more than just a haunting beauty. She was a servant of the devil, a serial killer with a sinister purpose. Isabella had always been drawn to the darker side of life. As a child, she was fascinated by the macabre, her bedroom walls adorned with posters of gothic art and horror movies. Her parents, devoutly religious, often scolded her for her morbid interests, urging her to seek the light of salvation. But Isabella's path was set the day she stumbled upon an ancient, leather-bound book in a dusty old bookstore. The book contained rituals and incantations that promised power and eternal youth, at a price. Desperate to escape the ordinary life that seemed to loom ahead, Isabella performed the rituals in secret. One night, as she recited the final incantation by candlelight, a dark figure appeared before her. It was Lucifer himself, with eyes like burning coals and a voice that resonated with a terrifying allure. "I can give you what you desire," he said, his voice a seductive whisper. "Eternal youth, beauty, and power beyond your wildest dreams. But in return, you must serve me. You will kill those I select, the pure and innocent souls who would otherwise belong to my greatest enemy." Isabella agreed without hesitation, sealing her fate with a blood pact. From that day forward, she became a dark angel of death, carrying out the devil's will. Her beauty and charm made her the perfect predator, luring her victims with ease. Years passed, but Isabella never aged. She watched as her friends grew older, their faces lined with the passage of time, while she remained eternally young and beautiful. She moved through the city like a specter, her presence both captivating and unsettling. One crisp autumn evening, Isabella received her latest target, a young woman named Emily. Emily was everything Isabella despised: innocent, kind-hearted, and full of light. She was a volunteer at a local children's hospital, spending her days bringing joy to sick children. To Isabella, she was the perfect target. Isabella stalked Emily for days, learning her routines and habits. One night, she approached her in the guise of a concerned stranger. Dressed in her usual Gothic attire, Isabella struck up a conversation with Emily, who was sitting alone on a park bench, reading a book. "Hey there," Isabella said softly, her voice like velvet. "Mind if I sit?" Emily looked up, startled at first, but then smiled warmly. "Of course, please do." They talked for hours, Isabella weaving a web of lies and deceit. She told Emily about a fictional abusive past, playing on her compassion. Emily, ever the kind soul, offered her support and friendship, unaware of the danger she was inviting into her life. Days turned into weeks, and Isabella and Emily grew closer. Emily began to trust Isabella completely, seeing her as a kindred spirit in need of help. Isabella, meanwhile, bided her time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. One night, as they walked through the park together, Isabella suggested they take a shortcut through a secluded area. Emily, trusting her new friend, agreed without hesitation. As they walked deeper into the shadows, the atmosphere grew colder, the air thick with an impending sense of doom. Isabella's heart raced with anticipation. She had done this countless times before, but the thrill of the kill never diminished. She reached into her coat pocket, fingers closing around the handle of a small, ornate dagger, a gift from Lucifer himself. Just as they reached the darkest part of the path, Isabella stopped. Emily turned to her, concern etched on her face. "Isabella, are you okay?" Isabella smiled, a cold, malevolent smile that sent chills down Emily's spine. "I'm more than okay, Emily. I'm about to fulfill my purpose." Before Emily could react, Isabella lunged, the dagger slicing through the air. But something unexpected happened. Emily fought back. She grabbed Isabella's wrist, struggling to wrest the dagger from her grasp. The two women grappled in the darkness, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. In the struggle, Emily managed to knock the dagger from Isabella's hand. It clattered to the ground, and Emily scrambled to her feet, ready to run. But Isabella was faster. She tackled Emily, pinning her to the ground. "You can't escape," Isabella hissed, her voice filled with venom. "You were chosen." Emily's eyes filled with tears as she looked up at Isabella. "Why? Why are you doing this?" Isabella paused, her grip tightening. "Because I have to. It's the only way I can stay young and beautiful." Emily's face twisted with horror and disbelief. "You're killing people for vanity?" Isabella hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing her mind. But before she could process it, a voice echoed in her head, Lucifer's voice, urging her to finish the job. With a surge of rage, Isabella tightened her grip on Emily's throat, cutting off her air supply. As Emily's struggles weakened, Isabella felt a strange sensation. Her skin tingled, and her vision blurred. She looked down at Emily, whose eyes were wide with terror, and for the first time, she saw her victims not as obstacles, but as people. A sudden wave of guilt and shame washed over her. She released her grip, staggering back. Emily gasped for air, clutching her throat, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry," Isabella whispered, her voice barely audible. "I'm so sorry." Emily didn't wait to hear more. She scrambled to her feet and ran, not looking back. Isabella stood there, alone in the darkness, her mind racing. For years, she had convinced herself that her actions were justified, that the power and beauty were worth the cost. But now, faced with the reality of her deeds, she felt a crushing weight of remorse. She retrieved the dagger from the ground, its blade glinting in the moonlight. As she held it in her hand, a realization struck her: she couldn't go on like this. She couldn't continue to be a pawn in the devil's game. Isabella made her way back to her apartment, her thoughts a whirlwind of regret and resolve. She knew what she had to do. She would confront Lucifer, demand an end to the pact, and find a way to atone for her sins. That night, she performed the ritual to summon Lucifer once more. As the dark figure appeared before her, she felt a surge of defiance. "I want out," she said, her voice steady. "I'm done being your servant." Lucifer's eyes gleamed with amusement. "You think you can just walk away? The pact is eternal, Isabella. There is no escape." Isabella raised the dagger, her hand shaking. "Then I'll find a way. I'll find a way to break free from you." Lucifer laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the room. "You are welcome to try, my dear. But know this, there will be consequences." With a final, defiant glare, Isabella plunged the dagger into her own heart. Pain shot through her body, but she felt a strange sense of relief. As darkness closed in, she whispered a silent prayer, hoping for redemption. An old familiar voice whispered back, "No second chances for the soulless. One cannot kill that which has already died."